present. And the topic he's going to present today is on his market research on data science as a new study stream for the MIS department. So yeah, if you have any questions during the session, please feel free to ask or to write them in the chat, or wait until the Q&A part to turn on your microphone and ask directly to the presenter. With that being said, I would like to welcome Mr. Piseth Molly Ratanak.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And good morning to Miss Brody, also Miss Chita, and all the faculty member and all the students. So today I'm going to present my final year project, which is I'm doing the market research for MS department that we're going to study in detail on how should we implement the that either our Paragon you willing to implement it as a new study stream for the student, and what if like how to implement it in an effective way, and also uh, what if the market in Cambodia look like if we are willing to implement those study streams. So please wait me a bit. I will do my screen presenting. Just a quick check. Did everyone like see my screen right now, and my voice like?
Yes, we can see your screen. Wow.
Okay. Okay, so good morning again. So my name is Molly Ratanak. So I'm a senior student from MS department, and today I'm going to present you guys about my final year research, market research uh, on the data science as a new study stream for MS department. And so today I will walk you through seven agenda. First of all, it's about the interaction and methodology. Interaction. Second is about the methodology of the research, as well as the research, the study design, and also the research consequences. Research. Third is still about the research theoretical framework. What framework that I use in order to analyze macro and micro scope of the project, as well as the empirical research, which I will be covering on what do we analyzing on, as well as finding. So there will be some conclusion that I will conclude the finding and the overall research at the end of the presentation as well. So first of all, we know that in the significant growth of the digital world, everyone having a smartphone, everyone like producing data every day. So the flourishing of the data storage, uh, the, the, the the flourishing of the data storage and usage, like from the research that I have cited, by just 2005 they were like growing like crazy. During that time the internet was boom, so that's why the number of data storing are increasing from like 130 exabyte to 80 EB by just 2010, and the researcher predict that there will be dramatically increased to 4 trillion EB by 2020. So as you can see that with this immense amount of data diverse, it's very an essential role that company or corporate or the institute just like us are trying to get rid or trying to get a competitive advantage out of it. So those data can tell a company an impactful insight on how the customer behave, on how their customer journey like, and they could predict on how to step very standing out point of their customer journey. So, without being said, uh, uh, data, raw data will be become a new oil in the information age. So that is why this research are willing to that is why I proposed to Ms. Chita about this research, which I wanted to provide an information for our Paragon U on the if they are willing to implement data science as a new strategy or not, because according to research there are a tremendous amount of data scientist job that need to be filled and there will be some data that will present as well. So this is the purpose of the research. So what I want to do in this one is that to provide information or an insightful path for our MS department in order to implement the new study stream in an effective way. Yes, and this is the research problem. Yes, as I mentioned, there's a lot of data that are producing every day, and those data are all drawing to some pattern that are very useful. And if the data scientists if the data scientists are they can finding out or take advantage out of it. So the research problem is that a proper from what I research in the market and from what I read from the publication, another uh, a research paper, I can see that the research problem that the problem that we are trying to find is that a proper data scientist skill are needed to be filled not just in Asian but in the United States as well as in Europe. So all those, like, you can see that there are numerous job and opportunity that need to be filled. Data science skill, I mean, like a proper training person or a competent application of competent people or competent people who can perform those data science skills are still insufficient. And then the data are not stop growing, so they will still keep growing every year, and company need to call upon those experts and need to perform and handle the remaining thoughts to make critical decision and predict the customer behavior. So uh, one of the research that I read from PwC, they predict that there will be 2.7 million available jobs in Asia Pacific. So just to sum up this slide presentation, the problem here is about the insufficient of the data scientist skill that are not proper trained from the school, and some of those data that call themselves data scientists are being trained outside the school. So that is one of the research problem. And also I also do the literature review. I want to see other author perspective toward data scientists and data education, data science education. So first of all, I can see that first it is very challenging in implementing data science education in anywhere in the world. First of all, because the approach of this education is new, and the way that data science work is very complex, and it is very flexible. So that's why it's really hard in order to train or teach just like physics or math, because it keep because you guys can also know that data is keep increasing, and there's a lot of data that we need to work with, and each and every data have different characteristics. So that's why it's very difficult approach to teach data science, and as well as producing as I mentioned, a competent data scientist that could deal with the real world data, not just the real exercise in the book, but the real world data, and the ability to translate the pattern or finding some insightful organization that could take advantage in the market is very difficult, and it's very challenging, as well as we also need time to producing this type of resource as well. And we can see that there's also lack involvement from government and related industry as well. So that's why I will be presenting this in the end of the presentation, or how the government and corporate can involve with the university or education institution to improve this field of gap, this kind of gap. Okay, second, the literature review is that we find out that in the model of implement data science education are still ineffective. Most of the data science program that is designed in the undergraduate level or higher education level are not designed independently to serve a purpose of data science, because they are a joint related department. For example, if you are business people, you can just take a course of data analytics in order to, or maybe you can take the course of as business analytics, which is including just some, I can say, uh, sorry, I forgot what it is, but yes, you just like it's not a design for independent purpose. It's just designed for like to involve some curriculum as well, just a little bit knowledge out of it. And the study find that the data science education is at a very beginning stage because they are lack a lot of resources and lack of a lot of involvement from like the industry expert in order to improve on how education on data science should be taught. And also there are some effective way that right now some university in the United States and Canada are being used. It's called CDO, which is in a full word as the chief doc, chief data officer, which they are teaching the program are designed to teach a data scientist in a bigger perspective, not just to know on how to do programming and using the software or tool, but they are involved a lot of like, for example, an eye or insight for the business and value, maybe a communication skill that they can communicate well with the management team, also the leadership skill in order to lead in order to they could read all of those information from the data so that they can lead in an effective way. Also, there are some of the big data analytics thinking or analytics cycle as well. So this is the approach that are being used in order to be more effective in data science. I will be explaining the detail in the finding as well for this point. Yes, so research significant. So I believe that this research could be have a significance to our MIS department as well as the ICT faculty as a whole. If our school are willing to implement the data science as a new stream for the student, because first of all, it is the Paragon due competitive advantage. Yes, as we all know that. The professional data science is very demanded, and the research me I hope to uncover the challenge and the market competitive advantage for Paragon U as a whole. And if the institute are taking consider it as a initiative and wanted to implement a new system for their ICT faculty. So yes, secondly is that I want to uh, uh, secondly is that the effective method implementing data science education. Yes, so if the research also will provide an essential way or the effective way in some case study from Italy as well in order to implement the data science education to meet the in that not just the competent or the professional resources, but also to meet with the industry expectation as well, and make sure that the students that are being trained or being produced from our university are ready for the real world with the real data world, which is very complex. Okay, so this is how the research are being designed, and there are some limitation as well. So in this chapter, we will explore on how I designed this the whole project and the limitation as well as the timeline of the project as well. So first of all, the design, the study design was design of the max methodology, which I use the quantitative and qualitative. So quantitative I use in order to see our student perspective toward the data science. And I wanted to know how they see it as the future and are they having some interest or not. So that's why I create a quantitative survey so to serve to see their perspective toward data science. And for the qualitative one, I do in order to see the industry expert expectation. So that's why I do the interview with some of the data analytic people. For example, Mr. Chapenda from Smart, he is the head of analytics at Smart. So with all the survey that we hand out to the student, we have 66 respondents to the survey. And for the research time frame, I have spent around 6 months since the project proposal was approved by Ms. Gita. So yes, just step by step, the data collection and writing the report begin in the first semester too, and start from early June of 2021 until I write my final report until the mid July 2021. However, there are a lot of consequences that I have met as well because this during this pandemic, ongoing pandemic, and the Phnom Penh had to lock down. So that why it's a little bit hard for me to do much of the qualitative survey to reach out to people, and then most of them are in quarantine as well. So it's very because we only can do like the virtual meeting and stuff. So just and the data collection, as I mentioned, is survey and interview question. Yes, move on to the next one as the research question. So in order to answer the research objective I have categorized into two research questions. First is the main research question, followed up by the sub research question. So the main research question is how does data science as a new study stream for I'm a student can gain a market competitive advantage for our Paragon U, and should the university include it as new study stream or not? And for the sub-research question, is about most of the question is about the student perspective and the overview of the job market. Yes, and for the research limitation and consequences, yes, because of we all know ongoing pandemic, Phnom Penh was bring into lockdown so that everyone cannot getting out of home, and as well as me, I need to stay and I am in the red zone as well. So it was very strict, and the internet connection also very difficult to use in every one of my family member are at home, so that we have to connect to those internet, and it's very difficult to use as well. Also, time constraint also one of the limitation. Potential I cannot fully perform my potential on the research, as well as me, I am the first time doing like the first professional academic paper. So it was very inexperienced for me, and it was very challenging, but with the help of Ms. Chita and the guidance from Dr. Marambat, I could just finish it as expected as the timeline that I was in, and I'm very happy with that. So third is about the research theoretical framework. In this chapter, I will explore, I will let you guys through and explore about the framework that I use to analyze the research. So sorry for this one. This one is, I have used sport and past, so I just misplaced the title. And the past analysis is I use in order to see a micro, bigger scope of the picture in the market, which means I analyze on the Cambodia market as a whole, economic, technology, and as well as the sociology. And I use SWOT analysis to see a macro scope of our school to see the strength, their weakness, and also opportunity of implement the data science as a new stream as well. Yes, without further ado, let's move on to empirical research, which is chapter I will explore into three different categories. First of all, I will let you guys through with the Cambodia as the market, that I will do the bigger picture of the market as a whole. And second, I will do Cambodia past analysis, and as well as the Paragon U competitor analysis. Okay, so this is the Cambodia market as a whole. So why Cambodia market? Because I want to investigate two main things. First of all, the current situation of Cambodia higher education. Second is the opportunity to implement a new study stream. So this is the two main thing that I want to investigate in Cambodia market in order to suggest an effective way and a right time for our Paragon U if they are willing to implement it in this market. Okay, so first of all, past analysis, but the figure below will only illustrate the main characters Cambodia target market for the case of our school only. And since the analysis of the case of our PIU will be focusing more on economic, sociology, and technology, so that's why I will only use the EST, which is standing for economic, social, and technology, which I do not analyze on the political or the legal and environment, because it is in this case of our usage, it's not related at all to our market research. And first of all, it's about the economic. So we can see that Cambodia consider a significant growth their economic in the last 2 decades. We can say that thanks to the peace and thanks to the security that we have every day. So the study of UNDP 2020 stated the poverty rate had dramatically decreased from 50% in 1992. Right now, we only have 13.5% in 2024, which is a lot of decrease in poverty. And in 2014, the fall down poverty rate made Cambodia $1,000 per capita, and the expected UNDP and the World Bank have said that Cambodia economic growth is 7.8% average every year, which considered to be the world consider us one of the fastest growing economic in the world as well. And as from the Khmer that state that Prime Minister Hun Sen also consider indication as one of the main the primary indicator in order in the master plan of the country development as well. And also from Khmer time as well. They decide from Dr. Hong Chunaron is that the STEM education in Cambodia are willing to improve and to get our Cambodia youth to be ready for the Asian 4.0. So this is the overall picture of our right now economic. So yes, it's a positive view. We have a growth economic. We have a peace and every security. Our education sector also one of the primary thing that the government are willing to develop, and our Ministry of Youth and Education also value the STEM education and also willing to improve it to be ready for Asian 4.0. Okay, so right now just take a look at on the sociology side, just the population. I can say that beside the achievement of economic development, Cambodia had also uh, inferred into a demographic bonus. I can say that two over three of our population are the age under 30, uh, which means that Cambodia is a place where produce a lot of productivity. We can see that there are 30K plus of youth and productivity available in the job market right away. And according to UNFPA, they consider Cambodia as the home of youth of the Asian. The study claimed that the current position of Cambodia are giving a huge impact on our economic development and growth. Yes, also with the social with the a lot of available of youth and productivity that we can see in the job market, but however there are still a lot of unemployment rate that are very huge every year. Mostly the students that are being graduated are not working on the field that they are studying since because of uh, according to one of the article on that issue by the CDOI 2018, they mentioned that because of the higher education in Cambodia did not produce what is the industry expectation needed in order to work in their organization. So that is why uh, the the graduated that the undergraduate students are still have a very huge unemployment because they are not having the skill that the 51st century needed. Yes, and for technology, even though there are more than 4 million people connected to internet in Cambodia, CIA, it is the CIA book, but the digital literacy people, like the digital literacy of Cambodia people was still below the average. However, there are 90% to 80% in urban area that our youth people owning a smartphone, and 35% that also own a smartphone are in rural areas. So the people, the amount of people having smartphone is very wide open right now. But however, people who are owning laptop within the high school student is very low compared to the phone, since there's only 35% who owning the laptop. And therefore, with a very minimal amount of computer owning in high school, the student also provide some course basic to program, not programming, sorry, to computer operation like what is like a Word, Excel, or something. However, the study also mentioned that uh, the students are not satisfied with the ICT that they provide in the high school at all, because it was very it's for very basic, and they could also learn it from just YouTube or something out of like they find yeah comfortable to learn. And we can see that with the Cambodia readiness toward the Asian 4.0 is a very long journey for us, because our ICT the ICT skill, the core of ICT skill issue is still very flat, and the digital literacy, the pattern that draw Cambodia, you, our Cambodia face a serious digital skill shortage, and it could be very harmful to our economic grow in terms of technology as well. And This is just a score that was stated by Cisco. Cisco mentioned that the average score of the world digital readiness is 11.96, but our company only get 2.27, which is very below the average. Uh, Yes, and move on to the competitor analysis. After seeing the overview of what is the economic and sociology and technology in our country look like, let's see a little smaller scope on in terms of competitor analysis. In this case, I only mention the scope of information and technology, faculty, and related skill only. Uh, and the analysis will be made to compare on what each competitor consider to be competitor in the market, such as AUPP or UPP and Piseth University, which also give like what is their curriculum design and what do they have and what we don't have. But mostly what we can see that those institution doesn't have right like a standard knowledge of analytical skill or statistical skill just like our school. And if you can see on the left hand side, Paragon, you almost have all the curriculum that added to the CS and LS student for elective or the core course. For example, is data communication and network. We all have in all the four school. And if we can see that the business analytic and statistics are only have in our school. This is the current update that I have from each and every school curriculum that I get from their website or their handbook. But if there is any development or added to any cost in the new version update, I'm sorry for this, but this is what I get from my research. And if you can see that the business analytics we have an order of three school doesn't have, and if we look into interaction to data mining, we still the one who are providing this kind of cost to our student, and as well as the human computer interaction, which is very important for this 21st century skill, since there's a lot of things that so we need to design and think of how the man, the people, and the computer should be interacted in order to provide a user friendly application or software. So that's why this is one of the competitive advantage for us as Paragon U compared to other universities. So yes, we can draw a pattern by just looking this analyze of the competitor, and we can draw a pattern out of the competitor analysis is that uh, uh, all the schools have provided a very basic data science education to the student to compare to us, and which means that the available resource in each institution is very low, and the potential output of the student to get the knowledge and background on this kind of related background to data science are still very low compared to our school as well. And yes, however, UP also providing the data science specialist course as well, but it is in a master degree program. So yes, and if you're willing to implement it, I would suggest to implement it in undergraduate program so that student can do specialization later in their master degree. Okay, so let's move on to the data analysis that I analyze from the way that I collect from students. Yes, so the figures show that uh, most of the students respond to the survey are male, and the most engaged one from the survey also the freshmen, which they cover almost 50% of the survey, and followed by the MIS department considered to be the one that are also involved in our survey as well, which is 36.4, RCS department and also MS department as 31.8. Yes, so this is the overall view of who are our like persona. So yes, the survey asked that are there any related background that our student have? Yes, someone say yes, some say no. So I will be categorized into different format. And with the first one is the related background to data science. Yes, um, fortunately, yes, people of our student from our Paragon, you say that 51.5 have related or at least know what is data science, and they had related background. And just the average rate of them 18%, 52.9, they rate their understanding 7, which means if we plus everything in all, and then the overall average of our student understanding is above thick, which means that above average for the one that who are had the related background to data science. And yes, most of the students that they say they have the background from the DS, they say that they are learning 67.6% from short course or program, which I'm not sure what type of program they are learning. Is it offline or online? But more of them are most 67.6 are learning it from a short course or program, and 52.9% learn it from online courses such as Coursera or EDX or other platform that provide an online teaching. But yes, we cannot forget that YouTube also one of the essential platform that people can learn it for free as well. So the people who are learning from YouTube also 35.3% that are learning from YouTube. And yes, there's people who say that they don't know what is data science, or have they know but they does not have any related background before. Also, remaining for 48.5% that they did not have, and their overall understanding of the data science also is above the average. I can say it's 3.5 out of 10. So which means that we can see that the average understanding of our JET student and our no student are not quite different. So if we are willing to implement the data science courses, uh, it's not that hard in order to combine them together. Yes, and for the people who are saying no, I would say that what could be their learning platform. I ask if they have a chance to learn. So which platform they are willing to learn. So they say that the YouTube was one of their favorite, as well as the university course, if possible, be implemented. They are willing to learn as well, which is 20 people say that. And yes, online course and short course program also one second and third priority for our student. And the question is, what do they think about if they're learning the data science, if it hard for them or if it's not? Uh, and 35% say yes, and 20% say sorry, 35% say maybe, and 20% say yes, while only 38% say no. So most of the students that consider it not hard for them to learn is that because they are good at math and good at problem solving. So most of the students voted that they are good at math is 68%. And we can see that 51.9% say it's not hard at all because it is their passion. Yes, since they do what they love, so it's not really hard at all. And yes, having also related experiences and having a good instructor also consider one of the main core value that they consider themselves. It's not that hard at all to learn data science. And the people who are saying no, they are saying that yes, data science is very hard to learn because yes, they are not good at math problem solving maybe, and they do not have experience on related skills. So just there are 90% out of it saying they are not good at all at mathematical and problem solving. So it's very struggle for them to learn data science. So if we are willing to implement the course or the study stream, so make sure that in the foundation year we have provide students in mathematical and problem solving practice so that they could be more insightful toward their career as their career goal. Yes. Yes, and what do they think? This one, yes, 80% say yes, the data science is hard to learn, and uh, uh, so, however, if we are willing, if our paragon you are willing to implement this, 78.8% are saying yes to join the course, and no one say no. So our students are open and willing to learn. So no one say no to this course. So yes, school should be considered to implement this one. And yes, I asked them if they are willing to learn. What is the most encouragement, or what is the main criteria to be implemented if they are willing to learn. So they say that it's supposed to have like expertise people or the professor from the field to teach and guide them in terms of the experience and how they could practice it. Also, they suggest to have a course design to be very practical enough for them so that they can do the work with the data in the world. Also, like some data that that we bring from like some practical case from company, maybe yeah, yes, we can design this practical courses for them so that they can find it fun to learn, not a lecture all the time. And having extra hour for lab practice equal to the opportunity to go to competition. Students find competition is fun if they can compare their skill with other university student skill as well, so that they could improve it when they come back from competition. Yes, this is the SWOT analysis. After we all see the student perspective toward data science, and we have a very positive insight that our students 78% say yes to join our classes. We exam that I want to go a little deeper scope to analyze on how the SWOT analysis of our school. So yes, first of all, the strength is that yes, we all know that before just rebranded to Paragon U, Zaman was a very well-known institution in Cambodia, which provide education ranging from like elementary or kindergarten to higher education, and right now they have the master degree as well. And because of the diversify of our faculty member, yes, we all know faculty member in our school are from various background, from various country, which means that they are having different experiences so they can our student can learn. And thirdly, it's about the network and partner. Paragon, you have a various partner and network around the globe so that student can do exchanging program. They can do exchange these courses to study with our partner, and their curriculum are equal to them as well, which is a very standard. And for the weakness, we can say that it's really hard for our Paragon U to distinguish the quality compared to other, because we have a very high standard teaching, high standard education, but we find it hard to distinguish the quality. Because why? Most of the instructor in our school are being taught in other school as well. So, which is student can find it elsewhere to have the same instructor, to find instructor quality with might be a lower price compared with them. And secondly, I also consider the ability to retain and hire faculty member, also some sort of our weakness as well, because the faculty member hire procedure is I'm not sure whether, but I can see it that most of the students, also I have the survey as well, they consider it's hard to retain the faculty member or the professor who are uh, good for them. Yes, and opportunity, if we can see from the microscope analysis from academic, we can see that digital education is the future. So if the school are willing to implement a new study stream with align with the education develop plan of the government, so it would be a very fruitful result in the future as well. Yes, but as well as the education gap is huge, and it's need a lot of to improvement needed. So yes, for sure there will be a rise in competition from other school or other international institution that are willing to compete in this Cambridge education, because the education is one of the primary development budget from government as well. So okay, we are almost there. This is the finding of the research after we do a lot of research, do citation, do interviewing. So this is what we finding. First of all, if data science education was data science education was data scientist job, sorry for this one, was huge and need to be filled. So yes, if we can go to Microsoft of our student, we can say that almost half of them say no, that they don't know what is data science. And if we just going to identify the data from LinkedIn alone, they consider that more than 60K of professional experience that was being hired on the platform of LinkedIn, and 27K educated record, 254K that are skill recorded in LinkedIn, that they have related skill or sharing courses on LinkedIn, or they had related course that they can put on their background on LinkedIn. And they are 62K unique company. They also announce their data scientist privately, which means that they train it from, for example, if I'm from MS student and I'm having some related skill in data science, or like not data science but mathematics or statistics or some business analytical skills. So those type of company in USA that consider to be unique company, they train me as the data scientist by themselves. So they are 62 6.k that they also the unique company are now on having their data scientist. So why I saw all this number, because with all of this number still the number of data scientists still need to be filled, because from the expectation uh, from the data science education gap is we can see that if we just uh, sorry I have to drink a little bit of water for now, sorry. Yes, we can see that the research are predicted to double the last 4 years of growth data scientists needed. And if we see the number of people graduate in this education level, only 38% that own like a PhD on data science field. And the data scientist whereabout is only located in USA, which is no wondering why most of the tech company are located in US. So because of they have a lot of data scientist resources. And we can from one of the research and McKinney 2011 found out that even though most of the data scientists in just are located in US, however there are still a numerous number that needed and sorted in United States alone that need. And however the PwC predicted that 2.7 million jobs are still available in Asia Pacific, and it need to be filled, because Thomas Davenport and DJ Patel also report that on their public paper, they consider the growing need for data science in the world, where its amount of data is still growing potentially. Yes, and he considered that data scientists will be the sexiest job of the 21st century. So with these numbers of data, we can say that it was a very huge opportunity for us as a Paragon youth if we willing to improve our those needed. And I will say of some industry that also consider to be consider as like they also thought the same way as the research. Alex Rademacher 2014 and Kimberly also said in their research that they believe that even with amount of graduate data science background, however, the data science education curriculum are ineffective to be implemented and not meeting the industrial expectation at all. There's many areas to be considered data science. They mentioned in their research. They also mentioned that communication ability and familiar with tool and software are the real requirement for data science student or data science graduate people to deal with the real world program. However, they seem that people who are graduate or fresh graduate from those type of background seem to have one and lost one. If they are very good at technical problem solving, they are really not good at communication with their team, or they have the very low leadership skill. Yes, and if we look at the thought of Mr. Chavandar, the head of math analytics that I interviewed him, he also has a lot of cases that he has met when he first when he hired fresh graduate to join his team at Smart as IATA. He mentioned that he had selected many fresh graduates to join his team on doing the related work to data science, and however he does not find any problem at all with the technical expert. For instance, he had one employee that are from a very good education institute as well. Sorry, I did not mention about this one. It is to in disclosures for them. So just for instance, it had one employee that who are very good at programming, and when it comes to programming, it is him. When it comes to algorithm, it is him. And when it comes to like using the software application to do coding, to do data visualization, it is him. He is very good. He is good at reading data. He is very good at finding pattern and draw insightful conclusion. However, when it comes to when it come to express those ideas inside of him to bring it to the management team on what he find that are very useful for the company, he very struggle to bring it out of his body, to bring it 100% out of his body. He only bring only 5 to 10% that he can explain out of it. And it was very hard for him to express what he think and what he believe. So that is why the company are still providing like the training for the employee they are hired from the school when they already trained it for 4 years already, and then they need to train a professional program for those fresh graduate for at least 6 months to 8 months, and then it's very waste of time for the industry expectation, industry expert. This is what they believe. So that's why this is some skill prototype that I cite from the one of the research from the one of the research paper that I was reading. So this research was doing to interview like 200 industry executives that held the managerial role in the IT operation companies, like as the CIO or the CTO or any digital innovation manager. They categorized in 3 different skill needed for them. First of all, the soft skill. Second is the managerial skill and technical skill. They believe that 3 of the skill are need to be combined and being taught in a higher education in order to improve students. I know it's very hard to promise to teach all of this, but at least we need to follow and but at least we need to combine some of a very essential skill and important skill together in order to produce competent like business analytic or related background to data science. For example, in soft skill, there will be some only some there need to be like presentation skill, communication skill, writing clear and consent effective method and report, or maybe the managerial really is about the leadership, the data science. They could not just see their data on the paper, but they could also see the real economic facts and figure economic trend. Also they could be also leading the big data project. Also uh, need to consider what is the data aligned with their business strategy and business plan development. And yes, without being said, technical skill is the very important skill that we need. So with all of the soft skill and natural skill, but without technical skill, it's still very it's still nothing at all. So that's why the 3 combination are a very perfect combination for our school in order when they consider to implement the new data science in the it as a new stream. And yes, there are some effective approach that I also signed it. I did not do very detail on the presentation, but if you guys are willing to see the report, I will publish it on the Paragon U magazine as well, so you guys can go to read in more detail of the approach in my report as well. So for example, in ADUCE modular overview, so they train, this is one of the school from Canada. They train the student by have the introduction and the advanced alignment. So when the first to they introduce to data science, they define the what is it and how to use it, what is the discipline to be data science, because some data science also like going to work with some like privacy data as well. So that's why there will be that some discipline need to be used, and the practice tools they are divided into two that they apply to the public data and also the courses data. Public data are including like the data that we can get from like the real complex data that unstructured from government or from the corporate, so that they can specify work with the messy imperfect data, and they can draw what if the novel finding is. And also like they need to do like communicate result as well. And yes, for the very first one introduction, they have a very basic introduction to what their data science application and communication. Thus it module content for aspect as I mentioned. And for example, industry and introduction modular just pretty clean and tiny data, which is not giving a very advanced one, so that student can learn and explore it. And when it comes to advanced modular, they are used a numerous raw data, so that student can use their learning skill to improve on their on their learning. And however, there are some case study as well that I I do the research on. So this is the case of how the university in Italian closing the data scientist gap. So just the in Italy alone they have 1.4 billion euro that they can they are willing to spend on the data scientist job, which means hire people, and they expect to grow 26% compared to 2017, so which means that it expect to grow more right now in 2021. And yes, the number of hiring data science are expect to grow more than 50% as well. So in just in this case, the summary is that it the research in Italy show that there's a lot of gap that that need to be filled. So this is the case where the case where the approach of them closing those gaps are the collaboration of university and company. So yes, we can see the industry expectation are not meeting at all with what the university have produced the resource for them. So that's why in Italy case I consider this one as a good case study. So they do the approach is to do a collaboration, which means university and company are working together. So uh, university are committed to do more collaboration with company in order to meet those kind of expectation, which means they have some skills cluster that they mentioned in the left hand side is the analytical skill. They also improving. They also in in summary, they also do some skills cluster that they are also willing to improve in order to meet the industry experts. So this is how the Italian gap close the data science. So this is how Italian are closing the data science gap in their country. And if you are willing to read more, yes, you can go through my report. I will do it in further detail. And this is a very good case practice as well. The iSchool, the iSchool agent. This is the case from American because of the mid sort take of data science as well. So that's why there's a community called iSchool agent that they are sitting in the middle of three different dimensions. So in this case, it's very new to Cambodia. So if our parent you willing to implement the new status study stream for the student, they could consider to implement as similar to this case study. So how iSchool agent work? So they are in the three dimension, as I mentioned: education, research intelligence, and professional practice. So the blue line here is the capability that they can extend between each dimension. So first of all, I would like to explain from education first. So education consider with student and the graduate student, so that the iSchool could connect education to the research intelligence, which means that they extend the student domain of knowledge via immersive placement. So the domain experts such as research faculty, research institute provide more information to the education in order to extend their knowledge. And without additionally, research intelligence also capability to work with professional practice. Professional practice is who is the data scientist who are expert on the field already, who have the IT servers like company and so on, so that the research and the professional practice could be connected so that they could scale up their infrastructure and service. What are they really needed from the school and education? And then they can provide a very resourceful for the research intelligence and the domain expert so that they can do more research on it. And the connection between the professional practice to education, it could be the capacity and capability through collaboration and partnership so that students can work with the professional company or corporation ready. So when they graduated to work in the professional field of them career job, is that they already know what is the company needed, what is the real issue in their company, what is the problem in their company, and how complex they can solve. Because of the three dimension, iSchool could connect three different industrial together, but have one common goal. So this is the case of summary of it. Because of the relationship between entity are very varied and complex. So that's why iSchool exists to maintain their engagement with the education, with the research intelligence, with the professional practice, as well as the research to believe in the next 10 years that iSchool will influence the data science education and be able to produce numerous competent candidates that could figure the real world issue in American. So That is all from my research. It's come to the conclusion. So, just according to Thomas Davenport and DJ Patel, he mentioned that data scientist is the sexiest job of 21st century. However, Paragon U will gain a lot of competitive advantage if the institute are willing to implement data science as the new stream for the student. And with the well-known reputation ready, implement data science going to be the new faces for them. So the school can getting more attention from the public, especially the fresh graduate from high school student. However, there will be a lot of promise to be delivered as well, since as we analyze from the technology perspective in past, we can see that digital literacy and digital readiness of Cambodia people needed and required more time to develop in Cambodia context. Additionally, related research and collaboration are still very shortage in Cambodia. However, after I have interviewed with Mr. Javanda from Smart, uh, the the private and sector, like private sector, are also willing to join and collaborate with us as their industry expert with the education to improve the kind of thought take in education. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for spending time listen to my presentation, and I would to say this time to opportunity to say thank you to Dr. Maram Beck for coordinating this project, and also Ms. Jita on guiding me the whole lot of step in doing this research. And without her and Dr. Maram Beck, I couldn't finish it because it's my first time doing this kind of academic paper. And also thank you people who in the room who are listening to my presentation as well. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I would like to say thank you, Bong Ratanak, for your presentation. Actually, we were supposed to have a Q&A for your session, but because we're running out of time, we would like to close your session. But that was a very insightful presentation on your market research. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing. Yes. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Okay. And if you guys have any question, you can approach him after. Yeah. Outside, I think you already know his contact. Okay. So I guess right now we can start a new session. So for those of you who are new, good morning once again, everyone. So yeah, I will be the MC for this session if you're new here. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the session. And yeah, so right now we will have a new speaker who will be sharing with all of you on a very, very interesting topic. And that is